Hey team, Dr. McCann here. I wanted to take a few moments to talk about outlining in annotated bibliography. It's an assignment that comes up in 802, 803, and some of the other level courses that are a bit higher several times, and it also shows up in the intro courses. What I find is students are often a bit uncertain of how to create an outline that demonstrates a clear intent to synthesize. So I wanted to take some time today to record this and show you a model. I find that it often helps people if they can see a model and then go from there so that they can develop their understanding. So what I'm going to do now is share my screen with you, and I'm going to walk through some of the key components of developing an outline that demonstrates the intent to synthesize. Okay? All right, so what you should see now is an exemplar paper. Let me first spend a couple of moments talking about the annotated bibliography. As you know, we start with an APA formatted title page, and the first aspect of this should be the annotated bibliography. Now, what I'm showing you here is an actual example provided to a student in a class I had a few years back. I've removed the student's name, of course, but I think this gives you a good look at what an appropriate AB and/or outline assignment should look like. For example, you see the student here has a notation that's a minimum of 150 words, and that is the requirement here. Each notation should be a minimum of 150 words, not including the reference itself. So what's the point of an annotated bibliography anyway? Well, to be really frank with you, it's an opportunity, in my mind, for you to summarize the content of an article. This is your chance to pull out what you have identified as the key themes in the article as you read it. I have seen students in the past who, as they read the articles, they jot down a notation as they're going through that. What happens is it saves them time when they do get to the inevitable annotated bibliography assignments. And also, if the overview is thorough enough, I've also seen situations where students are able to pick aspects literally from the notation of the annotated bibliography and weave that into the paper later on. So those are some options for you. And as you do this for your dissertation, and you should be reading articles at this point for your dissertation, I suggest you do something very similar. As you read, you can keep a spreadsheet or however you organize your work, and that's completely up to you. You'll have to determine the organizational tools that work best for you on this journey. But I suggest you create a paragraph or two summary of each article so that you can go back to it. It can jog your memory after you have several hundred articles in, and you can quickly identify which ones are relevant to particular aspects, whether it's theoretical foundation or whether it has to do with aspects of the methodology, however you choose. But the annotated bibliography really should be a tool that works for you. And if you view it as such, I think you'll get a lot more value out of it. It's not just some assignment we throw in here because we're sadomasochists or anything like that. It truly is a tool that can serve you and improve the quality and of your journey and assist with time management as well. So I'm scrolling down, and I'm going to try to make this a bit bigger. I really hope you can see this. But the next component of the assignment is to create an outline. Now, I'm sure most of you are familiar with the traditional, I call them skeleton outlines, where you just have an introduction and then you have, for example, educational understanding, then you have motivators right down the line. That tells me nothing as the reader grader about your intent to synthesize. At the doctoral level, when we outline, you need to take it up multiple steps and go beyond skeleton, which is appropriate for an undergrad, beyond just a couple statements, which is appropriate for masters, to a higher focal point, meaning you need to provide an outline that shows the intent to synthesize. And what does that mean? If you see here in the learner's introduction, they have written a fairly strong paragraph, and they've woven in the resources that refer back to those comments. So one thing that I will be looking for, is your intent to synthesize clear as indicated by citations that refer back to the work you're referencing to write the paper? Do you have a substantive statement for each concept? For example, the introduction. This learner, I'm going to say she for the sake of clarity. I don't remember if it was a male or a female, but she, for the sake of clarity, she has written a beautiful paragraph here. This, in fact, is a paragraph that she could very easily pluck out and use in her upcoming paper. So what she has done is pre-work for the paper. All of the tools that I'm giving to you in this class are designed, if you use them appropriately, to save you time and work ahead for each assignment. So she has several sentences, several aspects in this outline that she can easily use to guide her writing as she drafts for the paper. Now you notice she's included the citations. Again, look how much more robust it is that she's included the citations in this section. Educational understanding and internalization of learned concepts, etc., etc. Well, so what if you leave that out there and you don't refer back to the sources from which it was drawn? By referencing back, it shows an intent to synthesize. She's going to use these two articles. It also guides her as she goes to draft the paper. Okay, I need to pull the Deci and Ryan and the Graham and Weiner article as I write this particular section. And that triggers her as she writes. Essentially, it becomes a roadmap as the learner writes the paper. And you'll see that this is woven throughout the outline. This outline is not perfect because no writing is ever perfect. There will always be room for improvement. All this is a model for you to use to identify so that you can know how to create an outline that demonstrates a clear intent to synthesize. Now, I bet your next question is something like this. Well, if I have a paragraph in my outline and I use it for my paper, won't that make my Turnitin score be higher? Well, here's the way this works. When you submit your paper, whether it's your Module 4 paper or Module 7 paper, I will get the Turnitin report on my end. When I look at your report, I can easily go back and filter out the sections that I know came from your outline. So that should not be a concern for you on your end. I'll be able to quickly reference that back because the outline should drive your paper. Rather than viewing the outline as a cumbersome assignment that you have to do, and I know some of you probably view it that way, use it to your benefit. Make it a time-saving tool. Make it an opportunity to pre-draft and to pre-write. There should never be any downtime in a doctoral class. If there's an assignment for a bibliography, if there's an assignment for an outline, make that assignment work for you. Make it a time-saving tool. Try to do as much pre-writing as you can so when you do get to those lengthy essays, you can knock it out. And this is also a technique that you will want to adopt as you work on your dissertation. You can already start outlining, start designing something that shows an intent to synthesize with key articles. So should you have any questions about this, you may contact me in the individual forum or the Questions for Instructor forum or during my office hours. And I hope that this was helpful. I hope that it helped put it in perspective a bit for you. And as always, I will post a copy of this model in the course room so you can look at it as you draft your own outline. And with that, everyone, thank you so much. Happy reading, happy writing, and contact me should you have questions.